Good morning, everybody. This is episode 2 of Pathological Hustler. This is the platform for doers, platform for the motivated. Today, I got a special guest, Angela Vidal. Angela, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I thank you for coming on today and speaking with us. Now, for y'all that don't live here in Houston, Angela is a big time real estate mogul here in Houston. You can find her on Instagram at HTX Business Boss.
Yes.
Business Boss,
HTX
right?
Business Boss.
See, I'm good with memory. And that's what kind of like brought me to your page. I was like,
The name?
Houston Business Boss. I was like, what exactly does Angela do? And just getting to know you through other businesses and stuff that I've started, Covert Cleaning Solutions or whatnot. I think that your story is so unique. Like, I know a lot of people who do real estate for a living, but what you do is so unique. Like, I couldn't even talk about it. I had to like better get you to explain it because it does have a certain niche to it. So what actually do you do?
So actually the name Business Boss, in my opinion, originally stems more from, in my opinion, I think being a boss is putting people on.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a title or like, you telling people what to do. In my opinion, I think being a boss is, what have you done for other people? What can you teach other people? And what opportunities can you put in front of other people? So that's something that I'm very passionate about. It kind of, rolls into how I got into real estate in the first place. So when Harvey hit, it was something that was very emotional to me. Thankfully my house was okay and, we didn't flood at all. But I was, out there helping and seeing a couple different things, and it affected me in the sense that I knew that I, in one way or another, like had to be a part of this recovery. And, I was like reading a lot about it. And I knew that at that time there was going to be a shift in the economy, right? I knew that there was going to be a lot of money being poured into the city. And, at the current time, I was a finance manager at Southwest Infinity, and I'm just, at that time reading and watching, videos about wholesaling, and Harvey happened coincidentally while I was already, looking at other avenues for me to be able to make income or actually completely just, switch over to. So then Harvey happens, and it was just that time. It was that opportunity. I found myself putting all the pieces together, and then I finally had the courage to take the leap and get started in real estate. And it's been a great experience. Like, I originally got into it thinking that I was going to be strictly wholesaling. And I was able to meet some people and, kind of get going on that. But then I met a hedge fund manager, and in that very first conversation, I didn't even quite fully understand exactly everything that he was saying. I just knew that he needed homes, that he was here, to spend millions in order to be able to build the portfolio that they needed to build for their fund. And I was very honest at the time. I said, look, I've only been in this business a few months, but this is what I know. And these are the connections that I've been able to make. And this is what I can do. And he's like, okay, great. Well, if you have access to off-sale, off-market homes, go ahead and just send them to me. And the next day I sent him 5 homes, and he bought 2 out of the 5.
Now let's go ahead and rewind a little bit back. I remember when we did the phone screening, I talked to you about what you were doing before you were doing finance before you got into real estate. Now, what I thought was like so amazing about that story, you're making $200K just doing finance.
Yes, I sold cars first, and then I was promoted to be finance manager. And being finance manager, it really taught me a lot about how businesses work on the back end.
Yeah.
It opened up my eyes to, not just when I'm in sales, I'm concerned with my number of sales and what my paycheck looks like. But now it exposed me to how a dealership works and how it runs, and, how important the finance side of it is to the entire operation.
Okay. What I still think is like mind blowing, right? And then you just have to walk me through the process. Like, I know anytime we want to do something that's like goes against the grain or step into a new field of what we've been doing already. Like, I know you probably had like naysayers like, girl, you make $200K already. Why are you leaving your good job to go do real estate? You know what I'm saying? You sound like you have something concrete. Now, how did you take that leap of faith? Like, you going from something that's been guaranteed up to you to this point to trying to venture out on your own and do something more? Like, how does that whole work? Like,
So
who's in your corner?
time is always of the essence, right? So the way that just I coincidentally was already on my breaks, like learning about wholesale while I'm like prepping a file for finance. Everything that happened during that period of time, it was just crazy how it just put me in a position that it was easy to be able to make that transition. And it was like, it was never clearer because I knew that what I was going to be getting into is something that was going to blow up. Just kind of like even when I got, into car sales, like right after the tsunami, and I worked only at Infinity. I'm not one of these like jump around. Like when I work somewhere, I typically stick with them for a long time because I think that it's easy for the people that I work with to see that I'm an asset, right?
Yeah.
And so at that time, there was a vehicle coming out. It was called the JX35. Now it's called the QX60. It's literally a small SUV car. And at that time, I knew that it only had one competitor, which was the MDX. When that car came out, that car was a big part of my success in the car business because selling that car was just so easy. Like all the soccer moms came and they wanted one. And so that goes back to saying like, I've been very strategic about the moves. And when Harvey happened and I was already into the business and I'd already made money enough to be financially stable, then everything just kind of played itself out and made it where I knew that was what I was meant to do at that time.
Okay. So you first got your feet in real estate. You were doing wholesales.
Wholesaling. Yeah. I actually I learned about the business by somebody in the business that had a whole, we buy ugly houses. That's
okay. I always see those signs on the side of the road, and I always wondered, like,
that's the original way that I got into the business. But then, with meeting the hedge fund, and it's one of those things where you meet someone and they tell you, hey, I have X amount of money and I need to spend it, and this is not my city. Like we're from Vegas, but this money needs to be, spent here by the actual, fund owners, which it's actually Japanese money. Japanese money is very big in Texas right now.
Yeah.
Japanese money is building that bullet that's coming from Dallas to Houston. And so
the hour train. This was like an hour train.
Yes. And so when you have those kind of opportunities that are presented to you, you kind of have to ask yourself, am I going to stop right now to build my own wholesale business? And if these people are asking me to provide, 3 to 5 houses a week, or is it more strategic to align myself with some of the top wholesalers in the business and be able to get some of the best deals out there? And that's what I did. That was the pivotal point of my life where I had to make a decision if I wanted to, stick to my wholesale plan, or if at that point I wanted to work with the people with the money. And I feel like everything in life happens for a reason, and being able to move at the pace that we were able to move, because I already had the financial backing, just being able to provide the homes for them and see how quickly we got, they had their construction teams. I was able to put construction teams. That taught me and was able to fulfill the side of me of I love helping people and I love putting people on. So this was not only an opportunity for me that allowed me to be able to be successful just for myself, but there was a lot of people that I put on that were able to make a lot of money, including the wholesalers that I was working with. Even until this day, they know me, they know that I'm good for my word, and they know that they thank the fact that I was able to buy so much from them at a point where their wholesale businesses were just kicking off. And then now, it's great, but people always remember like who supported you in the beginning, right?
Yeah, most definitely. You know what I'm saying? You always remember your day one supporters. When we did the phone screening, I thought it was like so cool how you talked about like, so a lot of people who don't know, Angela works with hedge funds. So there's basically a group of investors with a large amount of money. They have a portfolio of vast numbers of, real estate properties, and you kind of, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of figure out exit strategies for them or liquidate their assets.
That's what I'm currently doing.
Okay.
That's what I'm currently doing. So right now we're getting the properties. So 3 years later, so when I met them, I built the portfolio. It took me about 18 months, almost 2 years to build the whole portfolio. And at that time, the majority of some of the properties were flipped. Some of them had a different exit strategy than others, but um, most of them were rented out.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's where you might have been headed, in the fact that originally I was not a licensed agent, because when I first got into this business, I got in on the wholesale side. And on the wholesale side, you don't have to be licensed,
You
right?
don't?
You do not have to be licensed. It is good, in my opinion, to be licensed. The way that I think about things now is a little bit different. I believe that transparency in this business is everything. And you can wholesale a property through a business entity of yours as long as you disclose that you are an agent. And so, in my opinion, back then, it was like kind of looked down upon if you did have a license, only because you don't. It's not regulated, and it's not that there are people that are going to do things that are going to make people look bad, but for the most part you don't want to be in a situation where the homeowner may be a little bit emotional because they're selling their home and they need the money out of it, but at the same time they're trying to maximize. And so sometimes wholesalers are not licensed because they just don't want the regulation behind it. But if you're an ethical wholesaler, then being licensed shouldn't be a problem, because you're going to conduct business in the right manner every which way.
So walk me through this process, because I always see like these people have these "We Buy Ugly Home" signs on the side of the yard with their little number on there, and I'm like, how are people actually making money? Like just posting these signs, like. So
So
what are
those
they
signs
doing?
are actually marketing signs. They're called bandit signs, and it's like a very old school way of how people get started in the business. And ultimately, what wholesaling really is that you find a home that the owner, for whatever reason, needs cash ASAP. Most of the time, what happens is that people have equity in their home. So they've lived there for a long time and they have equity in there that they may want to pull out, but their house may not be passing inspection. And they don't have the money to bring the house to par so it can pass inspection. And the only way that you can sell a home through someone that's getting a loan from a bank is that your house has to pass inspection. So you're kind of put in a bind because you don't have the money, you don't have the credit, and the only thing that you have is somebody that can come rescue you with cash. And that's where wholesalers come in. So a wholesaler will come in and put your house under contract. Some wholesalers may close on it on themselves, but most wholesalers have a group of investors that they work with. So they just put the house under contract, give it an option period, and during the option period, they sell that contract to an investor. And then the investor comes in and closes on the property, and then you get your money. And it kind of, a lot of people look at wholesaling like a bad thing. There's a lot of stigmatism with gentrification and stuff like that. But until you have your feet on the ground and you can see these people's faces when you're able to get their 50, 60, 80, $100,000 worth of money when they're in a situation right now where groceries is tough.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I look at it differently. I think if you're a wholesaler that does business ethically, you're literally not going to come take someone's grandma's house. I mean, every now and then there is a less knowledgeable elderly, but to me, then that's kind of on the person. Like even those people have already been on the internet. They know what their house would sell for if it's like up to par. Most people with the internet nowadays they're pretty generally educated, and you're really not going to come steal something. You kind of have to show them that you have a formula. Like you have to buy their house at this number in order to be able to invest in putting those repairs and take the risk to be able to sell it. And when you break it down like that to a homeowner, they get it. They're like, you're going to take the risk because I'm not taking the risk. I'm just pulling my equity and walking out. I just got to give it to you at a lower amount to make it make sense. And then it's no longer an emotional thing. Like you don't ever want to offend a homeowner.
Facts. What you just said right now, I think it's like so crazy to me, because there's so many avenues and angles to real estate that I don't even think people knew that you could just make money get into, like wholesaling houses, doing what you do, is working with like equity funds. Some of this stuff still baffles me. And I feel like in this day and age, we live in a time where it's probably the easiest it's ever been to be a millionaire, just because the knowledge is so given to us. Everything is a click away. Of course, you're not going to get the whole game from just anybody, but we have more access to information than we've ever had in this era ever, So
Absolutely.
I think that's crazy. Speaking on that, are there any other ways of making passive income that you think are like booming right now that people are just now starting to get woke about?
Absolutely. I'm actually going through a transition with that myself. Back in 2015, I was introduced to Bitcoin by one of my girlfriends, and you know, I have I'm a very open-minded person.
Yeah.
So when Bitcoin was introduced to me, I was like, I totally get this. And then, you know, I learned that other coins, you know, we're already out, we're in the process, and I was able to pick up some Bitcoin back in 2015. It was we'll never see those numbers again. I mean, we're talking about like, you know, I was under $1,200 per Bitcoin back then. And I also grabbed up a bunch of GTBC stock, which is backed up by Bitcoin. Right?
GTBC? What is the current stock price of that at right now? You know?
I haven't checked it as of this morning, but where I'm going with that is that, you know, at the time I was still at the dealership, and, you know, I'm sitting there doing it and I'm trying to talk to people about it, and everybody had their own opinion. Yeah. Everybody's like, you're crazy. You should be doing this. Like, you should be buying like gold or silver. And granted, the person that said gold was right as well, but we'll fast forward to that a little later. So, you know, I got my hands on that. I did liquidate my Bitcoin, you know, somewhere I got somewhere in the area of like 8,000 at one point. And I was like, it's not going to go past.
It's not going to keep going.
No.
It's a scary ride.
So I did, you know, I do regret that. But however, you know, I kept my stock, and that's been, you know, a great thing. I had to, there at one point, you know, Bitcoin had went up to like 19,000, and then it had came back down, and like everybody was like, wow, like, you know, kind of like lost faith in it, but I still hung in there, and I was able to do like, you know, what I call risk management. That is basically, you know, you want to take out some of your profits. Yeah. You want to take out some of your profits so you can lose the emotional connection that comes with, you know, buying stock or cryptocurrency or Forex or anything like that. You need to, one of the most important things that, you know, I've learned and that I'm learning now is that your emotions, it doesn't really mean anything.
Nah, you have to be totally emotionless if you becoming a trader.
You have to understand that you're entering something that is very risky. And I think you know, the way to kind of ease that fear is by, you know, pulling out some of your gains. Like, that way you compensate yourself. And then the moment that you break even, you really have to lose connection with the rest of it, because you've already pulled out what you put in there to begin with. So now you have to understand that you're just blessed because you still have some money, and that money's making money, and so on and so forth.
You know, so I have a group chat. I got one group chat for stocks and one group chat for cryptocurrency. The guy that kind of leads our crypto group chat, his name is Kwame Stouffer. You can find him on Instagram. It's Crypto Kwame. Shout out to that guy. So he was one of those guys that held on to Bitcoin when it was $3, right?
Wow.
He bought Bitcoin. I believe he told me he bought $300 of Bitcoin when it was at $3, and he held it for 5 years. Now it got to a point where Bitcoin had got to 60K. I don't know if he liquidated some of his stuff now, but he was just showing with us through the group chat that he was like, every time it goes up $1,000, he was showing I made 400K. And I was like, you don't understand the diamond hands you have to like, I couldn't even fathom like buying something at $3, it being worth $8,000 and me not getting rid of it, you know? So a lot of these investments, like, you never really can foresee the future of them. You just kind of just have to trust the process, and just, if you believe in something, you know, just hold on to it. There's
people that have been, so you can do this long-term and buy something that you feel is going to have a long-term value. In my honest opinion, you know, with Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin serves a great value, will continue to serve a great value. But I also believe that there are coins that are trailing behind Bitcoin that are going to make more logical sense, more financial sense. They're going to be processed faster. They're going to be using, you know, less gas, less power to make. And I think that Bitcoin needs to really watch out for that. So I feel like Bitcoin will rise again, and Bitcoin will always have the value, and it's in the fact that it's something that you can actually exchange for now. But, you know, as I'm sure you've seen, and, you know, like Ethereum is rising right above it. Yeah. And so I also look at cryptocurrency as like one of those things where, okay, let's say that you did buy into Bitcoin right now.
Okay.
Let's say that it does hit 60 something thousand, or let's say it goes even up to 70,000. You really just doubled your money, right? which is good. But there are currencies and there are, there's coins, there's currencies, and there's my personal favorite right now, which is gold, that you can multiply your money, on a daily basis. And I have just very recently been able to be awakened into this and see it, by a couple different people that I follow, that are people that I consider very knowledgeable when it comes to real estate. The things that I think that are the future is like e-commerce, Forex, crypto. Um, and so with that being said, I feel like it's very important that people not only understand the power of Bitcoin and what Bitcoin has actually done, to currency, but it's also important that you keep an eye out for coins that are going to be getting the value or opportunities, like even if it is a meme coin. I mean, some people may not want to do it based off of just like integrity or like,
I think the biggest thing with coins like that, a lot of people are like, they're asking that question, like, what is backing it? Like, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest skeptic remark I keep hearing when it comes to cryptocurrency, it being decentralized. Like, the dollar's backed by gold. And I was, people would be like, the only thing that's backing, crypto is the demand. But the way I was telling somebody the other day, I feel like demand kind of backs everything that we do. Like, we make more dollars than what we actually have backed up in gold. And anything that threatens the new coming of something new, it scares us. Like I remember, if you was to look at like a taxi service now, everybody wants to jump into an Uber, now, but back then, back 10 years ago, people were skeptical of, getting into Uber, but Uber's kind of taking over the game. Redbox, we thought that was here to stay. Amazon Prime and Netflix have showed us that this new wave of something is going to totally take over that. Are there anything that you see upcoming with real estate that people are not quite into yet, or, that you've been dabbling in and working with now?
Well, when it comes to real estate, I think that right now, like trendy Airbnbs are something that are going to be very popular or that are popular. I think that people starting to realize that they can use space for more creative areas like photography. And there's a lot of money to be made in that space as well. Like you can get a place decorated and use it for something different. It doesn't have to be, just for living. People want to use, I've rented a chateau for a photo shoot, and we're in this space filming a podcast. And so it's just a matter of looking at things from a lot of different perspectives, I think that there's definitely opportunities there. I think that there's obviously still opportunity in the buying market. I have clients that I service on the buying and leasing side as well. But with my work that I have with the fund, I stay pretty busy with that, especially now that we're getting them back up to par to put them on the market and liquidate to enter into the multifamily sector.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So working for this hedge fund, right? You basically, I don't know how many guys you normally work with, but I'm thinking of this as a collective unity instead of like most real estate agents who have multiple clients.
Exactly.
Now when it came to the pandemic, that kind of, some people did really good in the pandemic. Some people end up finding a way to triple their money. Some people lost a lot of money when it came to real estate, not being able to get in the house. How did that really affect you as far as the pandemic going on with, how you stayed in business? That's
actually a great question because it's a very prevalent question. It's something that definitely affected me because when COVID hit, the fund just kind of paused. I think that we all, and even real estate in general went for a pause for a good 2 to 3 months. It wasn't until the interest rates significantly dropped that everything just kind of went haywire, right? As far as like everybody getting out to go buy. So what I did was that I got my license, and it put me in a position where I could now service different people because I was no longer being as active with the fund. And so that brings up a great point of, when I talk about recently moving into the trading, sector and learning just very recently how to trade gold. Yeah. And, I think that Forex and trading is one of those things where it's a trade that nobody can take away from you, and you can do it on an island when you're just chilling. Right. And so I have been very lucky in my life where I kind of make very strategic moves in in what I want to do. And I have a very clear vision for my life from this point on. I have a clear understanding of real estate, from the funding, all the way to, you know, the fundraising, to the asset management, and to how people buy portfolios and cap rates and all this stuff. I have a good understanding of that, but I also feel like there is an opportunity out there with the shift of wealth that's happening right now in the markets.
Definitely
with cryptocurrency, with, gold, that if you don't hop on to get a piece of that, you're really missing out. And so I am now shifting some of my focus with how I think. And I'm a big believer that, if you can learn how to multiply your money faster, even faster than real estate, which real estate could be potentially quickly, and it's a secured asset, but this is an actual, people are actually now loaning and doing money transactions with Bitcoin and all of this stuff. So this is a real money segment over here. So just the way that real estate is a money segment, trading is a money segment as well. And it exists no matter whether you like it or not. If someone's day trading, they're day trading and they're making money. They might make a few losses here and there, but they're making money. So with that being said, it's like, I'm starting to open up my mind for diversification. Like, I understand the importance of real estate and I'm very glad that I know about it. But I also know that while we're going through a shift of wealth in 2021, that I want to be able to capture multiple avenues of that and not just solely think about real estate, because the people that don't realize that what COVID really was like a shift of your mind.
COVID really separated the hustlers from the people that were just being masked by their regular 9-to-5 job.
And it is totally okay if it took you a minute to figure it out, because I'm not going to lie. Like, it took me a minute to figure out how I was going to reshift. And, I got my license and then I start helping people and I'm like, I love real estate and I'm more than happy to help somebody find their dream home, but it is definitely very different than what I'm used to. I'm used to going to like ugly homes and, analyzing like how much is this going to cost and putting it into numbers and looking at, charts. And this is just a different aspect of what I'm used to. And I'm a big believer of, if you're going to do it to a large scale. So, like when I sold cars, I sold a lot of cars, right. And when I had to come buy houses, I bought them a lot of houses. And so I want to be able to move at that momentum. And sometimes it takes a minute to step back. Like, I could have easily went back to sell cars again. I could have easily just been like, oh, I'm going to go be a finance manager because that's what's secure. But I know that if I just sit back and analyze what all the people with real money are doing, and I just follow suit, like, you gotta have the type of confidence in yourself that if he could do it, I could do it.
So you speaking on confidence, but one thing I want to just personally ask you, you're a very ambitious woman. You're a person that has what they need, but it's always what else is left on the table.
Yes.
But a lot of time with success, when we get to telling people our ideas and, what we plan on doing, it can scare a lot of small-minded people. It can almost come off as if you're bragging about what you plan on doing to a lot of people, with closed minds. How do you, when you get a new idea in your head, is a certain person that you share this idea with? Or do you kind of keep it to yourself until it manifests what you are? Because, it's a lot of times dreams can get killed. Absolutely. By telling it to the wrong person.
Absolutely.
So how do you go about that?
I think that that's definitely true. However, I am also a big believer that what's meant to be for you is meant to be for you. And I have myself been a serial entrepreneur in the sense that I have started a few projects and gotten to a certain degree with them. And as I dive deeper into the research, because everything is research, right? Like, I need to log into my Excel and be able to make sense of this, number wise. And I have had projects that I have started that I have not continued because I know the value of my time with my money. And I know what I've already made. I know that if I'm looking to make $250,000, I just need to go get a corporate job again, because we know I could do that. Yeah. Right. I know that if I need to bring in, with real estate servicing, whether it's construction, my handyman team, my landscaper, I know that if I need a revenue over $500,000 with that, I've already done that. So I'm looking for an opportunity where I can do something where it's more money, and even more on my time. So I can then take that money and apply it to like real estate assets and developments versus me just being in real estate now and like servicing people. You know, I would say that when you have these great ideas, you need to, you know, one thing that I do is that if I'm convinced, I'm convinced. So
Yeah.
if I tell you and you don't see it,
Oh,
I'm
well.
gonna try to explain it to you in the best form. I think I'm a pretty good communicator. Like I like to explain things where they make sense to people. And I have the patience to be able to do that. But there are people that are narrow-minded, and you just need to completely stay away from those people because it's your vision for a reason. Like God didn't give it to them; He gave it to you. You know, and when you're solid about something because you're already watching how this is multiplying in another market, or you're already seeing somebody that's doing it, but they're doing it, and you're like, ooh, I don't have to totally reinvent the wheel, but I could do it a little bit better. You got to follow those gut instincts, and you can't let people talk you out of things, but always keep in mind that it depends on who you're talking to, because if you're talking to someone who already is financially free and they're making money in a passive way, or they're making money, you know, without having to get up and technically go to a job, then I would say that those people's opinions are very valid.
Okay. You dropped a lot of gems today on this
Thank you.
podcast. Let me just ask you one final question before we wrap up everything else. If you were to be sitting in front of Angela Vidal 10 years from now, what is there anything that you would share with her? Any, motivational quotes or anything that you've been meaning to tell yourself, or where you want to go now? Is there anything that you would leave her with?
Yeah, I would say that it would be much more important to take action a lot sooner. I think that though while my years of selling cars were very lucrative, I think that I became very like addicted to the consistency of the money. And I think that when I started selling cars, the main objective was for me to get in there and figure out, I knew I could close deals over the phone because of my previous job. I was closing accounts that were 15 to 80,000 over the phone during a recession. So I knew I could do that. So part of my like life goal was, you know, that you can't be afraid of the phone. You got to be able to make money over the phone. You got to be able to close deals face to face. So it was time for me to enter my next chapter, which was close deals face to face. So what are you going to sell? What's the top two items, like most expensive items, homes and cars? So that's how I got into the car business. And so I would just say that between finance and the car business, I might have been in there a little longer than what I should have. I think that once I knew that I can close deals face to face, I should have probably, you know, trusted my instincts and believed in myself more and taken that leap of faith a little earlier. You know, I think that if I would have gotten into real estate a little bit earlier, I would be a little bit further ahead in the game. But I have a very clear vision of my life, and I have a very clear vision right now of what I want. And I'm positioned where I've got the support that I need and the people that I need to be able to make those moves. Because one of the most important things that I'll leave you with your, you know, curiosity in real estate and wanting, you know, being fascinated about it, is that finding mentorship in real estate is very important. Like if somebody lets you follow them around, if somebody is willing to answer your questions, if somebody is ready to put you to be a part of the game, no matter what it is, even if you're not going to blow it out of the park, like being able to spend time with someone or pick the brain of very successful people in real estate is the most important thing that you'll be able to do. Like mentorship, it's like you go to real estate school to get your license, and they teach you, they're like, you know, they teach you to look at like land, like you're the homeowner and you're going to sell it. And there's a lot of emotion involved in that. And it's great. It is definitely an avenue for you to get started quickly on making money without having to invest any money of yourself. But you also want to always remember that in real estate, there's multiple different ways of making money. Just like there's people in the loan business, there's people that loan out their own private money. And there's a ton of money to be made too. And it's all real estate related.
Okay. Well, Angela, are there any services that, if any investors want to dig into, if anybody wants to hit you up on your social medias about any projects that they have upcoming? Do you have a way for these people to to get in contact
Yeah,
with you?
definitely. You can always reach me at on Instagram. My handle is HTX Business Boss. And then my email is info@houstonontherise.com. And I can help investors find properties. I can manage the project. I can connect them over to whatever services that they may need. And then, I could help you buy, sell, or lease your home as well.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
well, thank you. Anyway, I will thank you, Angela Vidal. It's been a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you for
You
having
dropped a
me.
lot of gems for me and my listeners. I wish you the best on your endeavors in
Thank
real
you.
estate. Sound like you already got a eye on the game. But thank you so much
For
for
sure.
just giving me
Thank
some
you for
time.
having me.
All right, anytime.
Mhm.
All right. Hey, everybody, if you liked what you saw today, this is the second episode of Pathological Hustler. It is a platform for the doers. If you like, subscribe. We're at Pathological Hustler Pod on Instagram. Also, our Gmail, if you want to be a special guest on there, is pathologicalhustler@gmail.com. Thank you. Peace out.